My name is Ray McGovern. I've worked for the CIA for 27 years, now retired. I was a Soviet specialist at first. My graduate degree is in Soviet studies. And then I had more responsible jobs in a worldwide kind of coverage nature, working for the President's Daily Brief, actually briefing that one-on-one with some of the President's senior advisors, and working as a chair of the National Intelligence Estimates, which are the supreme genre of analytical product, which the director of the National Intelligence now signs on the cover and presents to the President and the senior advisors. So I was on the substantive side of the agency as distinct from the operational side. No, it's a sort of a term of the trade. Actionable intelligence means intelligence that you can take action on. So if you would find where Osama bin Laden is and you have some assets in the area, you can take action right away and zap that site. Anything short of that is not actionable intelligence. In a very general sense, if you found a weapon of mass destruction and you knew where it was, that could become actionable intelligence. If you had a cruise missile or something that you could put on that target. Well, I think we had appreciable success leading up to the 7th of November. I think if we hang in there, that is, we, the people who are after justice and peace, that we can cause these Democrats to get some spine, to realize that they're not in the minority anymore, that they can actually do some constructive things. And I have great hope that if we stay the course with them and really stick it to them, that we will make them realize that they need to get this country back on a constitutional basis. And the first thing they need to do, of course, is to rescind what I call the Enabling Act, because it's the same as what enabled Hitler to do the things he did in March of 1933. They have to rescind this euphemistically called Military Commissions Act, which allows the President to do just about anything he wants, including torture, and revoking 791 years of tradition, habeas corpus, which was wrested from the King of England by those barons back in 1215, wasn't it?
Around Magna Carta.
Yeah, right. Actually is. Habeas corpus in Latin means you have the body, okay? And it's a provision in the law where no one can just scoop up someone, put them in a black hole, and keep them there without that person having the right to appeal to a court and say, you have the body, now what do you charge this person with, and what redress does he or she have? Now, that's basic human rights. I mean, that's First Amendment protections, the Bill of Rights protections. And to revoke that, to revoke that is just something that I don't think any of us Americans ever expected a president would do, but he's done it. And it's there. And so we can't kind of make believe it isn't. When I leave this room, Don Rumsfeld could have a couple of his goons arrest me, put me in Gitmo, in a big black hole, not tell my wife or my children, or the Red Cross where I am, and I spend the rest of my days there being tortured. I kid you not. That's possible now. Not only the President, but Don Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, as long as he's Secretary of Defense. My friends say, why don't you hide in the cellar until his successor is approved, But, if we hide in the cellar, that's just going to be what they want us to do. I'm going to speak out. I think we all need to speak out, and we need to speak out boldly. Yeah. Well, I happen to be in Atlanta to make a speech on the evening of the day that Rumsfeld was speaking in the afternoon. And I learned from some friends in Atlanta that Rumsfeld was coming, so the first challenge was to get a ticket to a speech. There was nothing on the website of this prestigious organization to indicate that Rumsfeld was going to be anywhere nearby. So I had to use my tradecraft developed over 27 years. And who was it that got me the information I needed? The World Can't Wait. Very imaginative, forward-looking women. And they told me a website that I could get a ticket from quite legally. The only rub was it's going to cost me $40. Now, that was the most difficult decision in the whole thing. $40 to hear Donald Rumsfeld? I mean, that was a stretch. I laid it out, credit card, and so I got there, sat myself right next to one of the mics on the left there, and then prepared my speech. I had a whole bunch of documents. I was preparing my speech for the evening. And it turned out that those documents are related to Donald Rumsfeld, and when he got up and started saying, oh my goodness, a lady had protested that he was a liar, that he was a war criminal, and she got carried out, and he did this little Rumsfeldian act and said, gosh, it's just so corrosive to the body politic and the government when someone accuses the president of lying, of misleading, of being a war criminal. We can't have that. We need the trust of the people in order to govern. And I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, you know. And so I decided then and there that I needed to ask him a question if I had a chance. But then it was one of, you know, should I or should I not? You know, look at all these people. It was a very, very establishment audience. I thought maybe they'd lynch me. But then, you know what I said? I said, you know, if Cindy Sheehan or Ann Wright or Medea Benjamin was sitting here, I mean, they wouldn't be going, should I or shouldn't they be just asking the question, what kind of wuss are you, McGovern? You know? So I got up there and asked my questions. Now, I hadn't intended to, you know, accuse him of lying right off the bat, but I could see the MC was going to cut me off. He had already tried to cut me off once, and so I just said, you know, Mr. Rumsfeld, be up front with the American people. Tell us why you lied so that we'd get into this terrible situation with so many casualties. And then, of course, he danced around lots of the questions, but I quoted him back to himself. He forgot or denied what he had said previously. And the best news was that when I got out of that theater, CNN was on live TV, okay? And we were in Atlanta. So CNN's on the phone, and I get this call, Mr. McGovern, yeah? What are your sources for those 2 charges? So I go, oh, well, hang on for a second. I open my folder. It's the New York Times, September 27th, 2003, and George Stephanopoulos, March 30th, 2002. Any other questions? Oh, thank you. 5 minutes later, very, very officious woman gets on. Mr. McGovern, Paula wants you on her show. Now, I don't watch much television, but I know who Paula is, you know. But I didn't like the tone, so I said, Paula who? And she said, oh, Paula's on. I said, oh, does she have a radio talk show or something? She said, no, Paula's on, CNN. I said, oh, okay. Well, you know, so we've set that up. And then there was Anderson Cooper, then it was Wolf Blitzer, and a couple other people. The whole bunch, see? Oh, Tucker Carlson.
I remember that one.
So anyhow, so that was my 4 minutes of fame, and I didn't seek it, but I was delighted to have it because he needed to be shown up as somebody who was not trustworthy, who would deny what he had said, and it's nice to, I was very relieved to see that what I quoted him on was almost exactly word for word. Now, with respect to Gates, that's a difficult situation. You know, he benefits from the compared to what factor. I mean, compared to Rumsfeld, anybody's going to smell like a rose here. And we have to give him the benefit of the doubt as he takes this job. But his baggage, the baggage that he brings to this, is a whole history of cooking intelligence, of being less than candid on his role in Iran-Contra, or in his role on furnishing arms to Iraq. You know, there's a whole litany of things he was involved in, and his role in the first October surprise. You know, the one where the Republicans, right before the election there, when Ronald Reagan was running against Jimmy Carter, the Republicans went to the Iranians and said, look, don't release the hostages. Don't release those 52 hostages. Just let them stay there for another couple months, and then when Reagan comes in, then release them, and there'll be something in it for you, like maybe some arms and stuff like that. Unconscionable. Incredibly cynical. And Gates was part of that. And we have documentary evidence indicating that Gates was part. Now, that came out after his confirmation proceedings to become head of the CIA. So when Carl Levin says, you know, we have to look at what's happened in the interim, he's got to include that. Well, Norm Mineta was in the bunker with Cheney. And it was very curious what happened. He reported to the 9/11 Commission in the beginning that a young man came in and said, Mr. Vice President, only 30 miles out or 30 minutes out, something like that. And Same orders? And the vice president said, yeah, same orders. And he came back 2 times. Another time to say, only 10 miles out, or 10 minutes